Well, let's get more now. We're joined by Dr. Abdulaziz Sager, who is the chairman of the Gulf Research Center, which is a Saudi-based think tank. He joins us from Jeddah. Dr. Sager, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to speak to us. There's lots of
having me today.
Thank you. There's so much we can talk about, and obviously tensions are high right across this region. I wanted to start by asking you why you think Tehran carried out those strikes on GCC nations during the course of these last 6 days.
Well, I think their assumption, which is wrong, by expanding the territory of the war and involving the Gulf countries, that they can put a pressure on the US either to stop it or to change the attitude or to reduce the attack on them. But that assumption is wrong for two reasons. One, Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Gulf country, they cannot force the US to do anything that the US would not like to do. The US have been negotiating with Iran, and the Iranians have chosen not to deliver what the US want. And on that basis, the US decided that they will carry with Israel a military operation to achieve the goals that they have talked about it in their statement.
Okay, so clearly you're saying Iran has misread the situation. And we're in a situation now where diplomats and staff at embassies, including in Riyadh's diplomatic quarter, are sheltering today. And I'd like to ask you, what's been the reaction there in Saudi Arabia to these airstrikes across the region, and specifically in Saudi Arabia? Do you think they took people by surprise, or was there some degree that this was expected?
No, I think it took us all by surprise, because we thought after all the big efforts Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Gulf country, including Oman and other countries in the region and Qatar, have tried to mediate, to encourage the dialogue and to encourage the discussion and to encourage the de-escalation, which have led to the meeting in Muscat and in Geneva. As a result of that sort of positive effort and vibe was coming out of the Gulf countries, the Iranians have decided to attack the Gulf countries, hoping by expanding this war zone and include the Gulf countries that they can use them as a leverage to pressure the US. On the other hand, I think they're making a big mistake because if they stay in power, whoever left from the regime there, they still need to have a better relation with the Gulf countries. And that not sure it will happen. As we have seen, Qatar and UAE have decided to withdraw their ambassadors. And I'm sure the more they continue, it's going to push for diplomatic withdrawal of ambassadors, and also maybe some other political decision will take. So if you stay in power, you still need to deal with the Gulf. You cannot deal with the Gulf and that you have gun and attack the people and the civilian, the hotels, airport, and also critical oil facilities.
So you're saying a deep sense of surprise that it's come to this, that diplomatic missions, including in the Saudi capital, have come under attack. Is that surprise accompanied by a deep sense of disappointment for the reasons you just gave?
Of course, it's a major disappointment. This is against the Vienna Convention, against the Geneva Convention, against the international law. Normally, diplomatic institute and the diplomatic premises is very well respected and protected, and they have violated all of that.
Okay. I mean, obviously, Dr. Sager, in a situation like this, there are all sorts of reports that get circulated, some of them true, some of them untrue. One claim that has made a few headlines lately is a claim made by the media personality Tucker Carlson, who alleged that some Mossad intelligence agents, that's Israeli intelligence agents, have been detained in Qatar and also in Saudi Arabia. They were allegedly, according to him, suspected of planning attacks inside allied Arab nations. Now, we had a guest on this channel yesterday from Saudi Arabia who repeated those claims that Saudi Arabia had captured or detained those Mossad agents. I just wanted to ask you what you make of these claims.
Well, conspiracy theory in a situation like this can be always a big bromo, and it makes the news. I don't think the Saudi government have officially announced anything like this. I don't think there has been any evidence, supporting and endorsing such things. In fact, today there was reported by Reuters or by other agencies that Qatar and Saudi Arabia denied, such an issue. So I think if the journalists who have said it, he has an evidence, he might be willing to share that evidence and present it. But I don't think, and at the same time, having a Mossad agent, you still need to have an operation. You cannot just do it by being 1 or 2 or 5 agents. You still need to have a launcher. You still need to have the drone. You still need to. There are many other requirements to be able to achieve such a thing. So I don't subscribe to that story. I think it's a part of the stories that people like to tell during such a situation.
Yeah, part of the fog of war, some might call it.
Yeah.
I'd just like to ask you, given what you said at the beginning, do you think it could be argued that one of Tehran's perhaps biggest miscalculations has been the fact that they have brought the Gulf nations even closer together to each other and to Washington by carrying out these strikes that they began last Saturday? What do you make of that?
Well, I think the Gulf countries, of course, it makes them together. We have seen the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia calling all the leadership in the region and, showing solidarity. We have seen the Gulf Ministerial Council, the GCC Ministerial Council's meetings took place, and also condemn with the strongest word, what Iran have done. I think there are 3 steps, in my opinion. The Gulf countries remain committed, to the diplomatic and political resolving of the issues between the U.S. and the Iranian. But at the same time, if there is no, result on that side, definitely they have declared clearly that they would not allow the usage of their land, sea, and air by any forces to do an attack on Iran. However, now they have been attacked. I can't see a good reason to hold to such a commitment, despite of the confirmation of sticking to such a commitment by the different authority in the region. The third option, of course, will be, in case of that continue, we are going to see them forced to take an action by striking from where the fire and the launching have taken place from Iran. I hope we don't go to that level, because in the end of the day, we need to live together, and we do not wish to see that a war has been launched, from their side to us, and we are forced to retaliate, to such a thing.
So you're saying you think, Dr. Sager, that there is a good chance that we will see Gulf nations supporting the United States more openly in this conflict with Iran?
Well, the United States is, we are the closest partner to it, and we have different sort of security agreement and arrangement. They are the largest defense supplier to us in the region, and at the same time, we understand their position. We did not wish to see situation going to a confrontation and war, but at the same time, definitely we will support the U.S. in its effort to try to bring stability and security. And you can see today how much the Iranians are doing in terms of damage. Even when you look at to the energy market, more than 200 vessels have been stopped from crossing the Strait of Hormuz, and this has an impact on the price of shipping, price of insurance, oil prices, all economic situation, all economics related issues. So without the U.S. guaranteeing the passage of the vessels and tankers on the Gulf to cross through the Red Sea, I think to cross through the Strait of Hormuz, it's going to be more difficult for everybody.
One of the things that makes this conflict more difficult to sort of understand and to predict what path it might take is we can't really be sure who is in charge and who's calling the shots in Iran, can we?
No, because this is why we hear a different contradictory statement from different sides in Tehran. We hear the foreign minister saying one thing, we hear Larijani saying something, and now after the funeral we will see the nominated Murshid, what is he going to say. I think there has been a lot of, according to the Iranian foreign minister statement and interview, there has been some standby order before and after the killing of the Murshid. Those people start implementing, whether inside Iran from the different military cells or outside, like in Iraq or in Hezbollah in Lebanon. But at the same time, it is very clear that they're losing a lot of momentum. They're losing a lot of their missile and launcher capability. They're losing a lot of their internal domestic support, because now we start seeing different ethnic group in Iran trying to take a lead in the domestic uprising, such as the Kurd and such as the Baluch and the Azerian. They expanded the war zone not only to the Gulf country, they've included Jordan, they included Iraq, also Turkey, Azerbaijan. So I think that shows there's a lack of wisdom and there's a lack of experience in terms of running or confrontation in a war zone, what to do.
Right, and you use that word experience, and it does seem to me that if senior, more experienced commanders in Iran have been killed in large numbers, there is a danger, isn't there, that we've got younger, less experienced individuals who are, to some extent,
more fanatic,
taking matters into their own hands and being more fanatic, as you said.
Well, there is a danger on that one. This is why it's very important to monitor, to watch and see. I think what will be very interesting is to see the final U.S. objective. Is it regime change? Is it regime surrender? Is it getting rid of the whole regime and bringing up a new sort of government to rule in Iran? Definitely, it's not in the interest of anybody in the region here or any country in the region to see a fanatic, extremist, radical regime there representing a threat to the whole region. Since 47 years, the region have lived with the model of exporting revolution, of interventionist policy, of expansionist policy, of using sectarianism as a dimension of interventionist policy in the region, and also threatening the maritime issues and the energy. So our energy security, our maritime and all those issues, that's what the regime have adopted since the Iranian revolution.
Now, Saudi Arabia is just a short distance from Iran, just across the Arabian Gulf. What is Saudi Arabia's desired outcome? What would an ideal future Iran look like as far as Saudi Arabia is concerned?
Saudi Arabia still believes, with the rest of the Gulf country, that the political regime inside Iran, it's an Iranian issue and for the Iranian people, and they wish them the best to have the right selection. They totally would never accept interventionist policy by Iran in any one of the Arab country or the neighborhood. They wanted to see security and stability. They would like to see whoever runs the government in Iran focusing on the domestic development. They have the right to protect themselves, but in no way we are going to endorse or support any militarization of the nuclear program. Unfortunately, what Iran have proven that this nuclear program is not for a peaceful or use as they claimed. In fact, the fact that the foreign minister have told the U.S. representative in the meeting, Witkoff in Geneva, that with the 60% enriched uranium, they can come up with 11 atomic bombs. I think that's a very, very serious statement. Using nuclear as a deterrent totally is unacceptable in the region. We would like to see a peaceful Iran. The Iranian nations deserve to have a better life and a better, governance and also development domestically. They have been suffering from high inflation, very high rate of exchange, lack of services, unwanted lack of ability to deal with the others. So I think what we are looking for is a friendly nation, to live next door with.
Okay, and just to conclude, Dr. Sager, we're now on day 6 of this conflict. Does the progress in terms of what's been achieved by the Israelis and the Americans and what's been achieved by the Iranians, some could argue, does that give us any clearer idea of what sort of a time frame we might be looking at?
I don't think the Iranian has a greater capability in terms of offensive or defensive. Defensive, most of their capability in terms of radar and launching, capability of the long-range ballistic missiles. Again, don't forget, most of their missiles, it's a liquid, and that requires some time to heat, and that could be detected by the satellite or even by the reconnaissance aircraft on the sky. I think we have seen the deterioration and the reduced number of attack from the Iranian. What they are left with is a drone capability and also some short-range missiles, which they are using it to some extent. They may have some cyber capability to disturb the vessels and also floating mines. And some very limited, they have taken it from other countries, underwater capability that can affect the vessels. But in general, I think with all the big effort from the US and the Iranian, which is from the American and the Israeli, have destroyed a lot of their militant capability, including location, command control, naval capability. I think the lesson the American gave, to hit the frigate in front of the Indian Sea also was important, that they expand. 1/3 of the US naval capabilities already in the water. And I think the Iranians should take it damn serious. They are not here to, as a tourism. I think they're here to do, to finish a mission. But personally, I don't think it's going to take long. I think we are coming toward the second half of the end, so maybe short time, and it depends how far the order will come to the to the forces to continue and the different targeted. Now they cannot be intercepted because they have destroyed that interception. So what is left with the Iranian is a limited resources.
Okay, well, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. Dr. Abdulaziz Sager, Chairman of the Gulf Research Center. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, sir.